is a move that was widely expected, and it could impact your bottom line. The Bank of Canada has hiked its key interest rate for the first time since slashing its benchmark rate to its rock bottom level at the start of the pandemic. The central bank increased the benchmark interest rate by a 1/4 percentage point to 0.5% today. So what does this mean for you and your household, especially if you're a homeowner? For analysis, we're joined live by the CEO of the Ontario Real Estate Association, Tim Hudak, co-founder of Mortgage Outlet, Elan Weintraub, and business journalist and founder of All Caps Content, Bryan Borzykowski. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Tim, we'll begin with you. No big surprises here. We know the economy has rebounded, inflation recently hitting a 30-year high. I guess the big question now is, will this hike cool a red-hot housing market?
No, I don't see that happening, Lena. I mean, number one, a lot of people expected this rate hike to come. It is quite modest considering where we have been historically. And the bottom line is, I mean, housing is a hot market right now because there's a lot of demand for it. It's a smart investment. It's where you can be yourself. It's where you raise your family. We have millennials entering the market. We have immigration returning to our province. Mortgage rates still remain low. The only way, quite frankly, we can get housing prices closer to reach is to increase supply, more inventory in the marketplace. That will help get things back under control and homeownership closer to reach.
And we've heard that from the experts time and time again. Bryan, we'll come to you next. Let's talk about inflation because it is top of mind for the Central Bank of Canada. We're going to see record-breaking prices at the pumps tomorrow. A trip to the grocery store is certainly costing you these days. And this move, we understand, will cool inflation. So what does this mean for the average household, do you think?
Well, I think the move is on its way to perhaps helping inflation, but it's not going to do anything right now. I mean, we're seeing the uncertainty in Ukraine is pushing oil prices up, so that will make it harder for people to afford gas as prices will rise. But the idea is to cool down the economy a little bit, and this is going to be the first hike of many. How many is up in the air? Some people say 5 or 6 this year. Other people say now kind of 3 or 4 because of what's happening overseas. But what this means is just that, again, for the average person, it'll increase potentially variable rate mortgage costs. It'll increase borrowing costs on lines of credit. In terms of inflation, I think people will still feel it.
Right.
But perhaps this is the beginning of something that's going to cool over time.
Right. So I want to pick up on the timing then. Let me ask you this, though. This is the first of many hikes. How long before we could see a difference?
It still could be a while. I was looking at the previous time that we were at 0.25%, and when that went up, it took about almost 10 years to get to 1.75%. So we're going to see small increases, another 0.25 here, another 0.25 there. And I think, the Bank of Canada just wants to take it easy, just in case there's still a lot of uncertainty, even with COVID-19. Will another variant come and shut things down? So I don't think they want to move too aggressively. So it still could be a while. They're projecting inflation to rise higher over the course of the year. Next year, around the 2% range. So it still could be a lot of months, could be another year before it kind of levels out.
Okay, Elan, Bryan was just saying the central bank also says more rate hikes are coming as the economy will continue to expand. That's leading a lot of homeowners to ask themselves, variable or fixed? That's a popular question right now. Is it time to switch to a fixed rate mortgage?
So I'm a very big fan of variable rate mortgages. There's a lot of benefits, but one of the simple ways that I look at it is a variable rate mortgage today might be 1.75%, but a fixed rate might be 3.25%. So there definitely will be more hikes from 1.75 to 2 to 2.25 to 2.5 and so on. There's so much runway between where variable rates are and where fixed rates are that it's still generally advantageous for most consumers to at least strongly consider a variable rate mortgage.
Tim, the Bank of Canada, we've talked about this, the uncertainty that Russia's invasion of Ukraine is causing, and the bank says that this has created a major source of uncertainty at this time. If the conflict continues, could interest rates be slashed again? And what would that mean for the economy and for the real estate market?
Yeah, I'd be surprised to see them slashed again, considering how low they are today. I suspect, Lena, what you see is a hesitancy to move them upwards again. There had been an expectation that we would be, have a 4 to 6 increase over the next year or so. If the conflict escalates, prices go up for gas, it impacts the economy. I think that would be slowed down. But again, my bottom line, the province actually had a housing affordability task force. I had the honor of sitting on that, Lena. If you do want to get prices under control, you have to put more homes in the market and more choice. That's what does it, as opposed to playing around with interest rates.
Elan, how do you respond to that? Is supply the only solution here? Increasing supply?
I think definitely supply is the solution. Toronto and Canada, there's demand both internally, globally. People want to live here. It's been a good investment. People want to enjoy their homes, their cottages. So, little tiny changes with the rates up and down are not going to change the demand. It's really the supply.
If we do see, though, 5 or 6 interest rate hikes, what do you see for the months ahead then? Fewer bidding wars, fewer offers for homes? Could that be our new reality at all? I'll ask you that, Elan. I'll ask you that question.
Well, in order to qualify for a mortgage, the government introduced a stress test, and basically a consumer needs to qualify as if their interest rate was 5.25% in today's market. So if rates go from 1.75 to 2.25 to 2.75, etc., they still need to prove that they can afford a mortgage at 5.25%. So they're still able to buy. And if their lifestyle, says we need housing, we're getting married, my employment is good, all of these wonderful things, the demand is going to be there. Plus, I do think that immigration is going to pick up, and demand will stay very strong.
Okay, Bryan, the next rate hike announcement is slated for 6 weeks from now. Talk to us about the big picture takeaways from this announcement and what could be coming in the months ahead.
I think the big picture is we're transitioning away from sort of this pandemic era uncertainty and economic kind of devastation over the last couple of years, although the economy did well last year and markets have done well, but just this uncertainty, and we're starting to move back to a bit more normalcy. And I think that's where the Bank of Canada wants to get to, back to kind of normal rates. 0.25% is not normal. That was ultra low. And so we're going to see that again. Will the economy kind of get back to normal? It's probably going to do well this year as people get back to spending again, but are we going to sort of transition to something post-pandemic? And I think that's the big takeaway here, is we're starting to see that despite still some uncertainty, in the market.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Bryan Borzykowski, Elan Weintraub, and Tim Hudak, we certainly appreciate this conversation. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.